I am here with Bill Gates. We know him from Microsoft. We now know him for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill, it's great to see you. Great to see you here in particular because we know the Gates Foundation for its work on infectious diseases, child health, nutrition, agriculture, education, the list goes on. Why does Bill Gates care about finance?
Well, it's all about helping the poorest. And one thing they don't have access to is bank accounts. The fee structure, if you have small amounts of money, is just too high. And we got involved in some traditional microlending, but just didn't see how that could scale up and get inexpensive enough. So now we're involved in trying to make sure we get a very efficient digital payment structure set up for all the poorest in the world to get financial products that work for them.
What are you doing?
The idea is that typically through the cell phone, you should be able to send money to your relatives. You should be able to track the money that's coming in, set aside money to buy seeds the next year. And there are countries where this is beginning to take off. Kenya, Bangladesh, even Somalia, maybe the last country you'd suspect up in Somaliland, almost half of the GDP is done digitally.
I don't need to tell you that the poor have been unbanked for as long as there have been banks. Why is this time different?
Well, it's really the digital revolution. The poorest have bought cows, stored gold, put currency under their mattress, but they are getting cell phones. And the cell phone capability of identifying who's using the cell phone, letting you look at your spending patterns, that's going to be common sense. People are going to have help and lots of innovative products competing on top of this digital currency platform.
So if technology, mobile phones for example, digital money, helps to increase access to financial services at the same time as it lowers the cost of delivery, why is philanthropy needed?
Philanthropy should just be here to bootstrap this. There are a lot of regulations in this area, and understanding how those regulations can make the cost of remittances, where you're sending money back to your family in your country of origin, how right now that has about a 5% overhead on it. We think we have a role to make sure that, particularly for the smaller transactions, the regulations don't impose those very high costs. Once this gets going, then we'll step up to the applications and say, okay, how does a savings application help the mother make sure money's focused on the kids? How does it help them stay in school, set money aside for the uniform or for good future planning? Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place. And, of course, for large transactions, currency can get pretty inconvenient. The customers we're talking about aren't trying to be anonymous. They're willing to be known. So the Bitcoin technology is key, and you could add to it or you could build a similar technology where there's enough attribution that people feel comfortable. This has nothing to do with terrorism or any type of money laundering.
What kinds of people or private enterprises right now are helping to solve the same problems you're interested in?
Well, in some countries, the mobile companies have been fantastic. In a few other companies, it's been the banks. In some countries, it's a startup company that's neither a bank nor a mobile company. In Bangladesh, the bKash offering runs across any phone, and they've gotten the regulations so that they have a product that we think will get very, very pervasive. So entrepreneurs are there. The enablement this creates, if you want to put in, say, electricity in a city, collecting your bills is one of the reasons why the underspending of infrastructure in these areas is a real thing holding back the economy.
You mentioned banks. Are the legacy institutions, for the most part, banks, credit card companies, payment processors, friend or foe?
Many of them want to have these additional customers, but they have to embrace the idea that the fees are going to be a lot lower. And so they have to find a way to service these new customers. Now, that means these customers aren't going to be coming into their branches. and they can charge a higher fee when you want to actually cash out. But if it's a pure digital transaction, then you should be paying less than 1% to move that money from you to a merchant or from you to a friend, even with meeting all the regulatory requirements.